Joseph Pistone posed as jewel thief Donnie Brasco and immersed himself in the Mafia underground. Despite some close calls, he made his way deeper into several mob families, more than any other previous law enforcement agent. He was pulled out by the FBI when the mob ordered him to kill a rival gangster to prove he was worthy of the mob's inner circle. Pistone's undercover work resulted in more than 100 convictions of mob figures in such famous cases as the Pizza Connection and the Mafia Commission. There is now a contract on his life, and he and his family live a life of disguises and assumed names. Joseph Pistone's book is called Donnie Brasco, My Undercover Life in the Mafia, and we are pleased to have him tell this story, which has gotten really some, the Boston Globe says, so entertaining you have to remind yourself that it is deadly serious. Time magazine said a daring double life reveals the full extent of the dangerous voyage into the underworld. Why Donnie Brasco?
Just a name that I had heard somewhere in the movies or somewhere and just picked it out. I liked the sound of it.
How did it start? You're an FBI agent. You were an FBI agent involved in what aspect of the FBI work?
I was involved in the criminal aspect, bank robberies, truck hijackings, fugitives, gambling, and vice-type investigations prior to getting involved in the undercover work.
And how did the undercover work begin?
Well, it began in the early 70s, 73, 74. I became involved in short-term operations, sting operations, buy-bust situations. And then in late 74, 75, I became involved in an operation, ironically, out of Tampa, Florida, which had to do with theft of luxurious automobiles, heavy equipment, airplanes. And there was a group of thieves that would steal on order, whatever you wanted. And we had an informant that was in this group, and he introduced me into it, and I ran and worked with this crew.
Now, what would you do?
I'd actually go out and steal an automobile or a piece of heavy equipment with them.
And the FBI would say, what were the guidelines for that kind of activity?
Well, the guidelines are that there are certain criminal activities that you can get involved in as long as there's no violence.
So it's okay to steal to maintain your cover? To
maintain your cover, and also to gain evidence and intelligence on the criminal group.
But no violence?
No violence.
Yeah, and they...
Unless the only time there's any leeway is if you're protecting your own life,
you can take care of yourself.
Right.
When did you begin to meet these figures that we come to know here, like Lefty and Sonny Black?
Late 75, it's 1976, is when this particular operation into the Mafia took place in New York City.
Yeah. You began to hang around the bars and the places that they would eat?
Yes, I would hang around restaurants and bars that known wise guys hung out in New York City.
And how did give us a sense for all of us who are laymen as to how this kind of happened. So you hang around and all of a sudden you're from an Italian neighborhood?
Yes.
Yeah, so you had a familiarity with
I had a background in how wise guys think and operate themselves.
You've known similar people as a kid?
Yes, as a youngster growing up.
And so how would you make the connection?
Well, it took a period of 5-6 months before I got into any conversation with anyone, and just...
You'd be there, and they'd see you?
I'd be there, I'd hang around, and they'd get to see your face, and finally a breakthrough came with, I got friendly with a bartender in one of the places.
Yeah, and he said?
And we got into discussion, and, you know, who are you, where you're from, this type of conversation. But, you know, you don't become too pushy, and you don't give too much information. And then from meeting him, he introduced me to someone else, and you get into conversation with them, and then they continuously see you every day and every night.
When did you meet Benjamin Rigurio?
I met Lefty in '76. I was introduced to him actually by an individual by the name of Tony Mira, who was the first Bonanno guy that I met.
Yeah, so Lefty was with the Bonanno family.
Yes.
You sort of went back and forth between two families, Bonanno and Colombo.
Well, I started out with some guys in the Colombo family out of Brooklyn, New York, and I spent some time with them. But then once I hooked up with Mira and Ruggiero, I shifted the focus to the Bonanno family.
So you're in Florida, and to tell me this story, you're in Florida, and you want to impress some of Lefty's friends, or some of your friends?
Well, we were mutual friends that were wise guys out of New York.
Yeah, and you're down in Palm Beach or somewhere in Miami? Somewhere in
Miami,
Florida.
Fort Lauderdale.
And so you
area.
want to impress these guys, and so you want to have a party on a yacht, right?
Right.
You need a yacht.
Yep.
Where do you go?
Well, at that particular time, the FBI was involved in the app scam undercover investigation. And a boat that they were using was docked in Fort Lauderdale. So I made contact with the agent that I knew that was working the case, and I asked him, what's the chances of using the boat? And he said, no problem. And I said, well, what's it look like with the investigation, the app scam investigation? And he said, well, we have no target date to surface. There won't be any problem using a boat.
Yeah.
So I made arrangements, and myself, Lefty, and some of the other wise guys and their girlfriends, and there were a couple wives, I guess. We went out on a day's cruise on this particular boat.
Yeah.
Well, as it unfortunately, maybe about a month or 2 months later, app scam surfaced, and a photograph of this boat, which was called the Left Hand, appeared in Time magazine.
Yeah, and Lefty saw it.
Lefty saw it and confronted me with it. In fact, we were back down in the Miami area, and we were out bouncing one evening, and we went to have breakfast about 3 in the morning, and he threw the picture of the boat at me.
And he said what?
Well, he said, Donnie, you ever see this boat? And I saw it, and my heart went up to my throat, and I said no. And he said, that's the boat we were on, a couple months ago. And I said, I don't think so. And he said, sure. He said, look at the name. That's the same name. That's the same boat. He said, what about it? So I said, well, Left, I told you that how I set this up was through a girl I met. She told me it was her brother's boat. And he said, well, that's a government boat. That's an FBI boat. So I knew that, that he was 100% sure that that was the boat. But my comments to him were, well, we must be smarter than congressmen and senators because...
Look, they didn't catch us.
They didn't catch us, so...
That was your first time that you feared being exposed?
Well, no, it was... I had a couple other ones prior to that.
Stay with us. Nightwatch continues. We are back. There was another time in which you almost got exposed, in which there was somebody raised a question about you, right?
Yes, that was early on when I was with the Colombo crew out of Brooklyn. I had a bit of a difference with one of the individuals that belonged to this crew, and it was a personality conflict more than anything else. He didn't like me, and I didn't like him, and he raised the question of I had been around at that period of time, maybe 8-9 months. And he raised the question that
maybe you weren't legit.
Maybe I wasn't legit. He wanted to know a little more about me. So he confronted me with it, and you have to, to maintain your credibility, you have to maintain the part of of a street guy or a wise guy. So when he confronted me, I basically told him, look, I'm not giving you anybody's name that I pulled jobs with. Anywhere, how do I know that that you're not an informant or something? Well, we went back and forth, and all the time knowing that I'm going to have to
do something,
give him a name. So I finally gave him a name of an individual who had been clued in prior, that who was a thief in the Miami area.
This was a guy who was in prison, who had been a thief, and who also was an informant, and who was under the control
of another agent.
And
And this agent just was to tell him that he had done scores with Donnie Brasco, and that he was a good guy. He didn't know that Donnie Brasco was really an FBI agent. Well, when I gave him the individual's name, he said, okay, I'll go make some calls and see if I can get in touch with this guy, or somebody else in Miami that knows this guy or whatever. And while he was gone maybe 4.5 hours. They locked the door of the club, and his parting words were, "If I don't come back with the right information, you go out of here in a rug." So that was one of the probably the most hairiest time, because I couldn't get out of
You had
the
no
club.
escape.
There were 4 other individuals in there, and I had no way out if he came back.
And you had no way of knowing that your agent had gotten to this other guy to say, expect a phone call.
Right, I had no way of knowing if he had gotten to him, or if the
guy would lie
the
or tell the
informant would tell the truth, because he might have forgot about it, or he might have gotten scared and said, "Hey, I'm not vouching for somebody."
Or he may have had a way to send a signal which would say,
That I
I'm
don't know
telling you,
anything
but in
around.
fact, this
Right.
guy's an informer or something else. So what happened?
Well, he did.
Obviously, you didn't go out in a rug.
No, obviously it turned out all right, because when he came back, he said, "Okay," he said, "you check out."
Why do you do this? I mean, once you get in, you've had a couple of close calls. You've got a family you're not seeing. You've got 3 daughters, right?
Right.
And they're not seeing you, and they don't know what you're doing, and you can't really be a father, and you're out living in this apartment, and they don't know what you're doing, whether you're running around and the people that you're with, and what danger you're to. You have a chance to get out. Why do you do it?
Well, you do it, there's several reasons why you do it. You do it because it's your job. That's number one. You're an FBI agent, or
Yeah, but at
you're
some
law
point you'd say
enforcement.
6 months is okay, and 2 years
Right.
is okay, guys, but this is getting a bit much.
Then you do it because you enjoy the pump that you get.
That's what I'm
the
asking.
Street, the street adrenaline flowing. You enjoy that type of investigation, that type of work, because you are always on the edge.
It becomes a game.
Well, a game of life and death.
Yeah, that's right, but
Yeah.
still it's a pump to it.
Right.
And it's exciting. And being on the edge.
Is exciting if you're that type of an individual.
And were you that type?
Obviously, because I
you
did it for so long. Yeah.
Tell me who Sonny Black was.
Well, Sonny Black was a member of the Bonanno crime family out of New York City.
The famous Joe Bonanno.
Correct. Who, at the time that in 1979, after they killed Carmine Galenti, who was the boss of the Bonanno family, Sonny Black became a captain in the family, and
There he is in that picture, right?
Right,
And that's you to the left.
that's
isn't
me to the left.
it? Now, who's this woman?
That was Sonny's girlfriend.
Okay, there's Sonny Black, the late Sonny Black.
The late
Go
Sonny
ahead.
Black. And he rose to be the most powerful captain in the Bonanno family, and at one point in time he was the acting boss.
And the next one, that's Sonny Trafficante, isn't it?
Santo Trafficante out of
Trafficante.
Tampa, Florida.
Right. He is supposed to be the Mafia boss in, what, all of Florida, or just...
Well, he was. He's deceased now. He died, I think, last year or 2 years.
Wasn't he somehow connected to the Kennedy thing, and there's some stories about him being connected?
Well, that's what they claim. Yes.
Okay, let me take a look at the next picture, too, because this is, we'll get on to the Sonny Black story. This is another one of Sonny Black. There he is in the middle, right?
No, Sonny Black's to the right.
Oh, that's right, to the very
that's
right.
Lefty Ruggiero with his right next to Sonny with his arms. You see in the side of him.
Yeah.
And then in the middle it's Nicky Santoro, and then an individual by the name of Booby on the left with the sunglasses. They were all members of Sonny Black's crew.
Okay. All right, let me take one more slide, and then we'll come back. These are really interesting. That's
Tony Mira. That's the individual I mentioned
at the beginning.
previously.
Yeah. Now, Sonny Black, he becomes the acting head of the Bonanno family, doesn't he?
Yes.
Yeah. So this is a big guy.
Can't get any
Can't get
other
any-
than the boss. That's
Yeah, other than the boss of all bosses, or
Right.
whoever that is. You can't get any higher. There comes a time in which Sonny Black agrees that you can be made. What does that mean?
Well, I was going to become an official member of the Bonanno crime family.
What do you do to become an official member?
What do you do prior, or?
No, what is there a certain ceremony?
Well, there's a
Is there
ceremony.
certain
Yeah,
kind of thing you have
there's
to
a
do?
ceremony.
But I mean, do you have to do something specific, like go kill somebody to become an official member?
Well, you have to. That's one of the requirements. You have to make your bones, so to speak. I had been given contracts to kill several people during the course of the investigation.
But you hadn't done it.
No, I did not.
Yeah, but did Sonny Black give you that contract?
Yes, he did.
And
Yeah.
you had to do that to be made.
You have to make your bones, so to speak. Correct.
Okay. When we come back, we'll pick up on what happened when Donnie Brasco, in fact, Joseph Pistone, FBI agent acting undercover, was ordered to go kill someone. Stay with us. Nightwatch continues. Joe Pistone, who was undercover as Donnie Brasco in the Mafia, about to be made if he passes all these tests that you have to pass, including engaging in a contract killing. At that point, the FBI says enough is enough.
Yes, that was one of the reasons, and another reason was at that particular point in time, there were two factions within the Bonanno family, and we got into a shooting war. And Sonny Black's faction had killed 3 individuals that were captains of the opposition, so to speak.
Yeah.
So now everybody was carrying a gun and looking to kill each other. So being that I was so close to Sonny Black and Ruggiero, I was, an obvious target also.
You could have been a pretty big guy in the Bonanno family if you were that close to Sonny Black, couldn't you?
Well, yes, because I was proposed for membership in that. For that coming December, they were going to make more members, and he had put my name up for.
So you become a member. What does that mean?
Well, that means now you're an official member of the family, and you get the protection of the Bonanno family. And as Lefty Ruggiero once said, becoming the advantage of being a wise guy is you can lie, you can steal, you can cheat, you can kill, and it's all legitimate.
That's right. He did say that. He is now in jail based on, in part, on your testimony,
yes.
right?
Yes.
Serving, what, 20 years?
20 years.
You left. Before we talk about leaving, tell me how you would deal with the FBI. How would you get information to them?
Well, what I would do is every undercover agent has what's known as a contact agent.
Right.
And that's an agent that you have a telephone number where you can reach him 24 hours a day. So what I would do is whenever I had any information that I felt was of value, was important, of evidentiary value, I would call this individual at this number and relay it to him over the telephone.
And you'd also meet him at the Metropolitan Museum of Art?
Yes, outside. I would meet once a month to get my expense money.
Weren't you making money from the Mafia, though? Why'd you need expense money?
Well, I needed expense money to, pay my apartment,
Right. The stuff at home?
pay the rents and et cetera, et cetera.
You decided to pull out, or the FBI decided, or together you decided to pull out. What happens then? What happened to those guys that you'd been dealing with?
Well, what happened was we just we picked a target date to terminate the operation, and that target date, at that point, we had a nightclub in Tampa, outside of Tampa, Florida. We had Sonny Black had come down with Nicky Santori, the individual you saw
In the picture?
in the picture, and that weekend we had a meeting with Traffic Canning. On that Monday, Sonny and Nicky flew back to New York, and we just closed the club up and we left. A couple days later, the FBI went to Sonny Black up in New York and told him that he was involved in an undercover operation and that Donnie Brasco was in reality FBI agent Joe Pistone.
And what did he say?
He really didn't believe it. He said, well, if I ever see him again, then I'll know he's an FBI agent. But he called a meeting of the guys in his crew, and the information that we got from other informants was that they were under the impression that the FBI had kidnapped me in order to make me an informant, and brainwash me is what they used, the word they used.
What happened to Sonny Black?
Well, 17 days after he was visited by the FBI, he disappeared, and his body was found under the Verrazano Bridge in Staten Island.
In the Verrazano Bridge, and with his hands cut off.
Yes.
And what does that mean?
Well, that was a sign that he shouldn't have introduced me to other Mafia people.
Yeah. So he violated the security precautions.
Yes. Yeah.
What'd you learn about the Mafia? I mean, tell us what it is about these people that struck you as singularly significant, interesting, against your perceived notions of them.
Well, the one thing that the downside, the one thing that really was hard for me to handle was how easy it was to kill somebody.
The point I mentioned, they had no regard for
They
life.
had, yes, and when they anyone that they did kill was either another Mafia member or someone who had been dealing with them for a while, and there was some reason why they thought that this individual should be killed. and how an individual can kill somebody when he was given a contract to do so. And this person might be somebody that he knew for 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
And after they...
Families might know him.
Families might know him. He might know their wives, their kids. But then they kill him in the afternoon, and then by that evening, never mention the individual again. It was like he never existed. That's the one thing that was really hard for me to comprehend.
If you knew what you had to do, and would you do it over?
Yes, I think I would.
Knowing the risk, knowing the, as you say, the adrenaline push, you'd do it.
Professionally, yes, I certainly would.
Because as a law enforcement agent, it was satisfying.
It was satisfying.
What happens to you now?
Well, I'm just doing some consulting work, private consulting work, and of course involved in the
book?
in the paperback.
Is there a movie coming out on this?
Yes, I'm in negotiations with the major studio now.
Okay. Thank you very much. Joe Pistone, a.k.a. Donnie Brasco. Nightwatch continues.